Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Morning Coffee with Lisa. I'm Spiritual Coach Lisa Hopp. It is Sunday, August 25th, 2019. I hope all of you are having a wonderful Sunday. I'm actually recording this from my workplace currently for the next few days around Richmond, Virginia. So I'm not sure how the quality of the microphone is. Please excuse it if it is a little bit fuzzy. I normally use a more professional microphone when I do my podcast, believe it or not. Welcome. So I've been working really hard while down here in the Richmond area, and I love it here. I get very emotional and happy when I cross the border from Maryland to Virginia. Um, I guess my spirit, my soul resonates with this state, perhaps because of other lives, or maybe I'm just supposed to be here. But either way, it's always wonderful to come back. So a couple of things happened yesterday that struck me. And so hence the topic of my Sunday morning coffee broadcast. And the topic today is, are you all in or are you out? And maybe I should repeat that. Are you all in or are you out? Yesterday, I sat with a wonderful lady. All the people down here, wonderful. And her loved ones in spirit came in and they gave her the exact thing to do to help her with her health, to give her healing. And she heard, she nodded, and then I noticed after she left the room with me, I walked out, and there she was doing the very thing that her loved ones had just told her not to do. And but that can happen. That is part of my work as a life coach, as a healing teacher, as a healing practitioner. Is you as an intuitive coach, you give people the information that they need, and they choose to listen to it or not listen to it. That is the gift of free will that was bestowed to all of us. And I do not judge. This is not a broadcast about judgment. I walked out and noticed the choice. And I can understand it a bit personally myself, because there are times when I've been told exactly what to do, and I throw blocks and obstacles in front of myself to the point where I just sometimes just scream into the air, why? Why am I like this? And it comes down to it's human nature. And we have a will, and our will can be very persistent. And with our own persistence, we can also overcome our will. We decide whether it's going to be strong, whether it's going to be weak, whether it's going to surrender. But it is not always an easy thing to do. It's actually a very hard thing to do a lot of the time. But if you can have a strong will towards whatever it is that you want to accomplish, whether it be longevity or change in any way, then it always pays off and always brings you a greater life. So that didn't strike me enough to do the broadcast today. What got me was last night when I was resting, and happily I got about 10 hours of sleep last night, which I definitely need. I happen to be happy to news podcast. Need more coffee on the Sunday morning. I was invited to attend a live broadcast, a Q&A from a very wonderful, faith-filled man, teacher, person, Chris Wark. And he wrote Chris Beats Cancer. And he's on Facebook. He sells programs. So he's been on TV. He's has quite the teaching job now, because he strongly feels that through changing his life, especially going towards a plant-based diet with supplements and prayer and exercise, he was able to cure himself of cancer. And so I'm very interested in what he has to say. So I tuned in, and he said something which really struck me. He said, if you're not all in, I can't help you. And it struck me, and I literally stopped and said, oh, yes, I've got to get all in. Now, I have to tell you that I am very healthy right now, and I do believe that I have everything that I need to be completely healthy, to have my body eradicated from cancer, from anything that I wish for it to not have. I have all that. It's just about implementing it fully. It's about making those full changes. And I have made such progress. I'm living such a different lifestyle than I ever had before. But every once in a while, I do eat. Last night, I had a sandwich um, that was made out of more whiter bread. And that is something that I know because it turns to sugar that I should not have. But I came back to my room after a long day of work, and it was accessible, and I was hungry, so I ate it. And I would prefer that I had probably made more time. I did have a salad with it, to be fair, but I would have preferred to have made more time to perhaps not have eaten the bread. And sometimes I do that. Today, I did have a very healthy breakfast, but I ate eggs, and I really have to eliminate my eggs. But there was limited. Um, I sound like I'm making an excuse, but there was a limited choice of breakfast today, and I do have to. I have a little bit of food with me to work to bring to work today, but I chose to eat what was available as much as healthy as possible. I didn't eat any muffins or bagels or English muffins. I had oatmeal, a little bit of egg, and a tiny, tiny bit of some potatoes. And that is going to last me the whole day. So I made that choice, but then said to myself, when you do get back into your zone, um, again, and you have the accessibility to the Whole Foods Market, which isn't around here, and to any of those healthy things, which right now I do not have access to in a timely manner. Um, and I'm not saying it's not in Richmond area. I'm just saying where I am right now and with my schedule, I don't have access to. I do look forward to getting back into my very healthy routine. But I also want to be a super woman, super person, a superhero, and figure out how to have that all the time. Though I have to be honest, yes, I'm not. I think it's all right if you're on vacation or something, you can have one thing. But the thing is, right now, I'm in the process of really bringing myself optimal health. So I'm working against myself. So I'm talking about the current time period. Once Chris Wark says that once you should do something for 90 days because 90 days your body fully cleanses itself out. Um, and so have a strictness about it for 90 days about plant-based and supplements and he likes fruit, but nothing else that I don't necessarily eat junk food, but as far as fast foods things, I don't do that. But, um, having a really much stricter, yes, because it gives your body the time to really restore itself, and actually as much as possible over several years, because our body is honestly trying to heal itself. It is trying to heal itself every few years, and so if we were to drink our water and eat our plant-based food and stay away from things that are chemical or processed, then we would have very healthy, long lives. And if we also could, especially limit our stress, I disagree with a couple of my doctors. I asked them about stress affecting cancer, and they both said no. And I disagree. I disagree. Of course it does. It does. Stress is probably the number one reason we get ill, and then we add McDonald's or we add lots of sugar. We add to build upon it, and so the medical community is catching up, but it's not all together there. And so I always say to myself, okay, fine, I will allow you to disagree with me, and then I'll just go on YouTube and talk about it. Which, by the way, is coming. I do have the camera, the room divider, the office, the will, the subjects. It's just a matter of, once again, getting back to my area from this business trip. And so as I get more comfortable with that part of my life, I probably will do that more on the road as well. And so when I'm on the road, as I've heard other professionals talk about, you tend to slip a little bit in your choices because you're tired, because you're in a strange area, because you're being offered wonderful things. I have a client yesterday who gave me a wonderful Southern Peach bottle of wine, which I'm not going to touch yet. I want to share it with people. When I first came to the Richmond area, oh gosh, probably over 10 years ago, her way of showing me love was to give me a big Cinnabon. So that has not happened this time. It's not happened. But when we're out of our zone, we tend to adjust to what's around us a little bit more and slip in our ways. I have a history of wanting to hide my eating, and that does stem from my childhood, where my eating was watched more, and so I never really felt comfortable. I never really felt comfortable eating in front of people, and so when I got to be a young adult, did have issues with bulimia and anorexia. And so I always have to watch that I don't go back, not to those two um, conditions. I have overcome them, but I still have within me that programming that when I'm away and no one's watching, I can eat whatever I want. And so I have to watch that because I can easily slip into that mindset. Um, and I actually caught myself doing that a couple of times this trip. It's like, no one's watching, have the muffin, you know. um, no one's watching. Order a second something, and so no, I didn't. But it's easily there for me because of the history that I have within me, and maybe some of you can also connect with that as well. Um, so back to the topic. So last night when Chris said that if you're not all in, I can't help you, it made me immediately think of that client that sat with me who was given all the help that she needed to cure what she had, but she walked away and literally seconds later did the opposite. Now, once again, not judging her, but that is our human selves. We want it quick. We want it easier. We want to know that we can just take a pill and it'll go away. We want to know we can have a fast track diet. I have a wedding in about 3 weeks. And I have gone there. Like, what's the fast track diet? That I can just drop something real fast and feel really great for this wedding. I immediately put it aside, by the way, because my lifestyle is so healthy for the most part nowadays that there's really nothing fast track I could do to drop whatever I would want to drop for a wedding. But that's once again a mindset that we all can have. And so um, I had decided, I knew that in this trip, and maybe much like the wonderful client, it's probably not realistic for me to be all in, but I can be all in other ways. I'll be all in once I return to my home, my hometown and my office. Then I'll be all in, and I kind of made that verbal, mental, emotional promise at the moment. But then I started to also think about how those other ways were not all in. And that's just a story of our lives. For instance, there are Christians that are not all in, and many are Christians. For instance, I've seen it happen. Who do you know that will go to church on Sunday and then they're not even out of the parking lot and they're cursing at someone or beeping their horn or doing something else which is perhaps not, quote, Christian like. I have seen on Facebook people put scriptures on their Facebook page, and then the very next post is hateful things about other human beings. And so we can be not all in. We can be all in at moments with exercise. We can go walk for 30 minutes and go, okay, I'm doing it. And then the next night it rains. We go, nah, I don't want to go walk. Not all in. We can be all in at moments about wanting to have a better job or to increase our wealth. But then we don't change our job. Then we don't do the necessary steps that we need to be all in our prosperity. And then again with health, we're always looking for what's the thing to do right now, rather than be all in a lifestyle change. So the one thing is that while we have a strong human nature, and we're usually not all in, and when we see people, by the way, that are all in, boy, do we admire them. We usually raise an eyebrow like, shouldn't they lighten up? Isn't life too short? Shouldn't they smell the roses? But there is always a secret part of us that admires them for being all in. But there is one thing that is always all in, whether we are all in or not. And that is God, universal source, Yahweh, Allah, creator, however you wish to name, light, heaven, however you wish to name that source. That source is always all in for us. There is this mistruth that's often given to us that says that you abandoned God, so God abandoned you. Why would you be surprised? And always seems to be said when it comes to prayer in schools. We took God out of our schools, so God is not with us now. That's not possible. That is an outright lie. I'll be very, very, very blunt and say that. Because God would never measure its love by what we do. The love is unconditional. The love is accepting. The love is stronger than we can ever imagine. I feel probably it's stronger than what we're capable of. I have felt that energy being directed at me. It's immeasurable. And it doesn't have an ego. It doesn't get angry. It doesn't have rules that you have to play by. The person who murders can be forgiven by God just as easily as the person who doesn't. It doesn't mean that you should murder, because there are always consequences for actions. There is a what you put out, you get back. There is a natural law. There are all kinds of natural laws. I personally admire that this creator thought so ahead that it put these natural laws into effect to kind of run things, while it sends us love and opportunities, miracles, advice, whenever we ask for it, and welcomes us always with open arms. And if you were to have prayer in school, which prayer would you have? Because there's different religions. And yes, there are some that don't really want to have a traditional religion at all. But I can tell you honestly that it does not mean that they are any less loved by God. That energy does not have an ego. That energy is always all in. Now, the one thing that we do have is free will. And free will is considered a gift, but sometimes we do not get the advice that we would probably like. Well, let's just say we have to ask for help. Unless it's chance. We have to surrender our free will to our angels when we ask for help, or to God. They all work as one, by the way, so you can't pray wrong. Something you should know. But sometimes heaven waits for us to take a step. Heaven waits for us to ask. And that is why it said, just one small step. But ask and you shall receive. So wonderful people that want a cure. Take one step towards the cure in some way with prayer, and heaven is willing to do the rest. So it's so important to keep that in mind. Ask and you shall receive. But don't just sit on your couch or your chair and wait for it. Heaven likes a doer. Take one small step. For me, one of my most favorite examples of listening to heaven recently was this year. At the beginning of the year, I noticed that more clients were unreliable than ever before in the 13 and a half years I've been self-employed. Let's just say this, that when someone has an emergency, when they're in the hospital and they're thoughtful and kind, they will find a way to let me know. And of course, I understand. But this year more than ever, I had people making appointments that didn't have the money for the appointment and knew it, but was hoping they'd have a miracle and get it. Or I had people that just changed their mind and thought, it's okay, make her wait for me, I don't care. And it was getting to be, well, stressful. It was happening too much. Or people that were coming together and, oh, sorry, Lisa, same day, the driver can't come. So we're all not coming. It's a huge bulk of time and income. And so I had to do something about it. So the first time happened quite early in all of it. I literally in my prayers asked heaven, what should I do? And right in front of me, the scheduling system plops down. And literally it was the next second. And my answer to it was no. My clients won't like it. They like to call, they like to email. Even if it's Bean's phone tag or email tag, they're not going to like a system. I know that. I know there are older clients that don't like the internet, they don't like the computers. Even though we're in the 21st century, this is not going to go over well. Second time, stressful situation, stressful week. Heaven, what do I do? Plop. Scheduling system. No. I thought of even certain clients. They won't go for it. Third time. I'm scared now, heaven. What should I do? Plop. All right. I'm going to listen. I'm going to do it. The first day I implemented scheduling system after I had spent over days setting it up with all my appointments and it had some tweaking it needed to do. And there were a couple of people that it didn't go well with because of it now makes you pay beforehand. And that is how it has to be because people make appointments they don't know that they're going to pay for. So now that stops the no-shows and it makes sure that people are ready and serious. And so I had a no refund policy at first, but I had to tweak it because people were giving me plenty of notice. So I tweaked it. But at first I was all in. I was all in. Well, don't you know that scheduling system has been, I'll say it, a literal godsend. I literally have more clients. My clients are reliable. They usually will reschedule. There's been a couple that have canceled, but if they cancel same day, there's no refund. It's giving me more time. It is the perfect virtual assistant. It's cheaper than an actual human being to help me right now until I do grow more, and then I probably will need more humans. But for right now, it's like the best thing it's like a total gift to me. It's the best thing I could have done. Thank you, God. Thank you, heaven. And I waited 3 times. I said no 3 times. It's the same thing with my health. I got the answer right away and I implemented it. I implemented, there were actually 2 to 3 things I was given to do. And one is the one I'm not all in, and that is the plant-based diet. That's the plant-based diet that includes all plant-based and only really no meat at all. And I only ever recently eat seafood. In the last 20 years, I've only eaten seafood with plant-based, but I used to eat pasta, I used to eat white breads and stuff, but now I don't do that anymore. So I have been getting to it, but I'm not all in the way that I will be. And so the other ways I am all in. They said, include more water, include something else. I'm doing that. And so, but at first, I heard things and I didn't run on them right away until I heard them 3 to 4 times in a row in one week. And I said, okay, I'm being told to do this, so I'm going to do that. Now, I am not special. Heaven talks to you the same way it talks to me. If you ask, you receive. So make sure that you listen. And heaven is very understanding. I'm sure they rolled their eyes a bit up there or over there when I waited 3 times to set up my system. But that would be human, wouldn't it? But let's just say they probably smiled wryly. But there is not won't be an anger towards you if you don't listen. However, will your life get completely better when you listen? Absolutely, you're getting what you asked for. What do I do, heaven? This is what you do. It's really that simple. But if we don't like it, we won't. But heaven is not about the quick fix. Yes, it can give you a miracle like that. Jesus has no problem with healing you immediately. He did it when he was on this earth. But most of the time, heaven is going to require one step. Maybe that step is changing habits. Maybe it's just doing research or considering something. Maybe it's changing doctors. Maybe it's changing your job. Maybe it's looking for a job just to be open to the thought of it. One step. And then they'll do 20 or 30 or 40. Then you do one more step. They'll never, ever let you fall. They'll always carry you. So important to keep in mind. You are not alone in this universe. Not for 1 second of your life are you alone. Ask for the help. Ask for the guidance. But be willing to say yes to what you hear. Heaven wants someone who obeys. Toughest one of all is the Blessed Mother Mary. Oh boy, she almost insists you obey. She'll have none of that nonsense if you don't. If she thinks she won't obey, she may not show up if you ask for her. But she shows up more than you think. She shows up at more places than the pilgrims go. I'll put it that way. She can show herself in your living room if you go to her with open arms and humility. So it's very important to know that you do have the resources to turn to. And faith always rewards. So important to know. And that you are accepted and loved. And there's no rules to that. You don't have to earn it. You are naturally loved by the grace of being a child of your Creator. You are loved. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. I wish you all the best. Much love, much health, much happiness, much prosperity. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.